All right, readers, looking at our packet for today, we're starting out with our quick write. In your opinion, what makes a good parent? What is a parent supposed to do for his or her child? All right, so looking at our packet, right, our quick write. So, in your opinion, what makes someone a good parent? So, if I was starting that out, right, as a complete a good parent, and then I want you to think for a minute, right? You don't need to make this line, right? But pause for a moment and think about what would you say to answer that, right? What makes a good parent? A good parent, blah, 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 blah. Right? What does a good parent do? Right? What is a parent supposed to do for his or her child? Right? So then answering that second part, a good parent is supposed to, and then again, scholars, don't make this line, but think, what would I fill in there? What would I say? What is a good parent supposed to do? So, scholars, that's using words from the questions, right? There are two questions there, so you want to make sure you're writing an answer to the first question and an answer to the second question. So, pause and take care of that quick write, and then we'll continue. So now that you've continued, looking at our next set of vocabulary, we have intently, right? If you're looking at something intently, it means attentively, right? You're giving it your attention, right? If you look at it intently, you're giving it your full attention, you're really studying it, you're watching it closely. Hopefully you are working intently on your packet right now with me. The second word, contemplating, if you are contemplating something, you are thinking about it, right? You're in deep thought, considering it, thinking about it, you're contemplating. You might right now be contemplating whether or not you're going to write a poem about Ivan after you have lunch today. Right? Contemplating, thinking, right? Third word is mesmerized. If you are mesmerized by something, you are enthralled by it, right? It's got your full attention. You're captivated. It's enticing to you. In the reading, Ivan was mesmerized by the clouds, right? Think maybe of something that enthralls you, captivates you, has you mesmerized, right? In talking with some of you, it seems video games might have you mesmerized, right? A good book might have you mesmerized. And our fourth word is addled. If you're addled by something, you're muddled by it, you're confused by it, you're puzzled, right? It's got you confused. Addled. So, scholars, let's take a look at the packet and work with those vocabulary words. So, we want to make sure, of course, that we're using these vocabulary words in the blanks, not what they mean. So, we're using the actual vocabulary. So, the child was blank. Which homework sheet to do first? So, was he? I could see two possibilities here, right? The child could be confused, right? Addled, which homework sheet to do first. Or the child was contemplating, right? Thinking about which homework sheet to do first. But if I jump down for a moment, right, I might think, well, addled. would work here. But as I'm reading ahead, scholars, I'm noticing that there's another one that is similar where it seems like it could be addled or contemplating. But if I jump down to number 3, Timmy felt blank by the very complex math problem. Right, I might think contemplating or addled would work there. But if I try the word contemplating, listen to that sentence. Timmy felt contemplating by the very complex math problem. It doesn't quite flow right. So I'm thinking we need addled here. Right? So he's muddled, confused by the complex math problem, which I think then means we would have contemplating up here. Right? I could see where those would be quite similar. Like they seem like they would work in either spot. But again, if you said felt contemplating by the very complex math problem, that's not correct grammar, so that does not make sense. Scholars, you're in charge of doing those other two on your own. If you want to pause right now to do that, you can, or you can come back to that after we look at the other work. Looking at the next part, right, you hopefully already listened to me reading pages 90 to 107, and then you have a little bit left to do for yourself for your assignment. The homework is to finish reading through that page and to complete that part of your packet. I'm going to look at one other part with you before we go. I'm going to slide over to the other side of this page and maybe scoot us back a little bit. So when you work on number 3, right, Ivan's relationship with Ruby changes in these chapters. Write 2 ways their relationship changed. So I want you to think really carefully about that, right? So how they interact with each other changes in this group of chapters. Think about 2 different ways that changes. And then number 4, when you work on that one, why does Bob think that the story Ruby tells him and Ivan doesn't make sense? I'm going to start us out with that one using words from the question. So Bob thinks it doesn't make sense because he believes that people... I'm giving you a great lead on this, aren't I? He believes that people... You are going to finish that. Fill that in. Right? So, after he hears that story that Ruby tells, he just thinks this does not make sense. This does not fit what he thinks because he believes that people what? So you're in charge of doing that one. And then number 5, analysis. So there's a quote from chapter 46, which is called The Hit. A hit, Ivan says. Ruby is a hit. I don't know whether to be happy or sad. So I want you to think. So he's having mixed emotions in this chapter. I want you to think for a minute, why would he be happy about Ruby being a hit? Right? So a hit means, right, people like it. Like people are coming now to Big Top Mall. She's popular. She's a hit, right? It's bringing business in. Why would he be happy about that? But then also, thinking really carefully, why would he be sad about that? Right? Think about what that means for Ruby, right? If he's sad, why is he sad that Ruby is so popular? Then one last thing, scholars, if you have been listening to me and looking at this with me, as a reward and a thank you, up here on the second way, you can go in, and in the second way, you can draw a little smiley face. You can give it a little elephant trunk if you'd like, and maybe some elephant ears. And you get to skip this second way for free. But I do still want you to do one way that their relationship has changed. But you get a free skip point on that one if you were following along and listening today. Make sure you draw your little elephant or smiley face there, though, to show me that you followed along and were listening in the lesson. Don't forget about reading the rest of that group of chapters, reading through page 113. And you want to take a photo of your two sides of today's work and be sure to submit that in our Google Classroom. Thanks for joining me, scholars, for another day with the one and only Ivan.